I personally, in 30 plus years of museum work, have never participated in or even heard of a public poll to choose objects for display in the museum. We pre-selected 8 cars, all of which are winners, and the public did the rest. I think it's a very unusual activity, very unusual opportunity. Harry Miller is not exactly a household name to most people, but he was the premier builder of race cars in the 1920s. This car represents Harry Miller at the pinnacle of his work. The rules of the Indianapolis 500 required smaller and smaller engines during the 1920s, and Miller responded by designing 12 of these cars, which compensate for the smaller engine by having a supercharger and front-wheel drive, and also lower profile because of the front-wheel drive, and they could achieve higher speeds. Now, this particular car was entered in the 1929 Indianapolis 500. It didn't win, but it did set speed records later in Europe. It's one of only 2 of this class of cars designed and built by Harry Miller that still exists. And we're very happy to have it through the generosity of the donor, Robert Rubin. After World War II, Americans were eager to buy consumer goods again, and in the meantime, there were many new ideas about redesigning products to make them better. Preston Tucker was trying to introduce an entirely new type of automobile and entering the well-established automobile industry. He and his team of designers and engineers designed this car, one of 51 built. It has rear engine drive, many safety features, and a very spacious interior. Tucker intended to set up mass production on a massive scale, but unfortunately financial difficulties caused him to stop production almost after he had begun. Only 51 of the cars were built, 46 remain, and we're happy to have this car in the collection through the courtesy of the U.S. Marshal Service, which actually seized it as forfeited property in a drug arrest in the early 1990s. The thing to remember about Preston Tucker is he had lots of ideas. Some of them were good ideas and some were bad ideas. He came along at a time when there was just a profusion of radical ideas for redoing cars. Remember, the industrial design profession was approaching its height, and everyone thought that if you just sit down at the drawing board and think about it, you can design the perfect car. That was Preston Tucker. It intrigues people for 2 reasons. The one that I just said, that it crystallizes ideas that were very prevalent in the late 1940s. But at the same time, Preston Tucker himself became such an appealing figure because of what he was trying to do. But there's something about this man's story that is so compelling that it just tugs at people.